Welcome to Burnout Solutions, a podcast designed to help high achievers and healthcare professionals understand stress and how it can lead to burnout. Together, we'll explore how your brain and nervous system naturally work and why they sometimes hold you back, and how to overcome those challenges to fully enjoy the success you've worked so hard to create. I am your host, Mona Tippett, registered nurse, burnout coach, and resiliency educator. Hello and welcome. If you have followed me on social media or talked to me in the last year, you know I've been talking a lot about the nervous system. And today I want to talk about why understanding the nervous system matters and how it has really been the key to understanding my own behavior and really the behaviors of others. This has been one of the most powerful and life-changing realizations for me. And this has really helped my clients and myself personally and in professional life. All human behavior is driven by the nervous system. And I know that might sound like an exaggeration, but it really is true. Every action, every emotion, every decision that you make is rooted in how your nervous system is functioning with your brain in that moment. So why does this matter? Because if you don't understand how your nervous system works, you could be at the mercy of it. You would keep reacting to life instead of responding to it. Now, when I first learned about this, it was like somebody had handed me the missing piece to a large, complicated puzzle. So let me just tell you about how I realized that I even had a puzzle that I needed to be solved. So several years ago, I realized that I was living a life that just seemed on paper to be extremely successful. And really it was. I had all my life goals checked off. I was married, I had kids, I was working, I had a business. Things seemed to be, on paper, going really well. Yet for some reason, I didn't really feel accomplished, satisfied, happy, or content. And really, my most common emotions were frustration, overwhelm, and feeling burned out. I love being a high achiever. And really, for the majority of my life, I felt like I had been a high achiever. And I really prided myself on doing a good job. Yet it seemed like I was stuck in the stress success cycle where I would move from one big thing to the next, and my life was always moving at a frantic pace. Now, these were things that I was purposely putting on my plate. I was choosing to help with the PTA and be the HOA president and work as a nurse and have 4 kids. And I wanted to do all of these things. However, I felt like I was always putting out fires. And even when I was done at the end of the day, I had accomplished everything that I needed to. My to-do list was checked off, yet I didn't feel proud or content. And I certainly couldn't relax. I would wake up in the middle of the night with thoughts running through my head about things that were going on and I was feeling anxious about or worried. I felt wired and tired just all of the time. Now, this was frustrating and overwhelming, but the biggest impact of my stressful life was that my relationships were not what I wanted them to be. So I started seeing a life coach, and she gave me some really great insights about the brain. And this was fascinating to me, and I just decided to go to life coach school myself, and I took a deep dive into psychology and brain information. I went to brain conferences. I read lots of books about how the brain works and how it's developed and how thoughts and emotions are created. And this, interestingly enough, was information that I had never learned in nursing school or really in any of my training. Here I learned that the brain does create thoughts and how those thoughts drive or create emotions and how all of our behaviors are driven by those emotions. I was taught formulas and steps on how to change your thoughts and how to help other people to do it. I did understand these concepts, and they really were true to a certain degree. I was doing all the work. I practiced my new thoughts. I wrote them down. I reminded myself every day. I was seeing a difference, and my life was getting better. But here's what frustrated me. Sometimes, despite all the work that I was doing, I would still react and behave in ways that I didn't want to. For example, my teenager would roll his eyes and I'd snap and tell him to stop being so disrespectful. Or my husband would say something that I didn't like and I would get defensive. We would get in arguments. I was frustrated that my house wouldn't stay clean. I was frustrated that, waiting on the customer service telephone was too long. My behaviors that I did, just wasn't proud of. And I knew better. So why was I still reacting in the same way? And then one day I was with some life coaches and one of them talked about the nervous system. And that's when it clicked. That was like the huge aha moment for me. And I learned and I realized that my nervous system was hijacking my brain. So once I understood that my body was constantly scanning for safety and threat, and that my reactions in my behavior were my nervous system and my nervous system's attempt to protect me, I could finally work with my body instead of against it. This was so awesome. I stopped blaming myself. I stopped feeling like I needed more willpower or discipline. I started recognizing the signs that my nervous system was moving into fight or flight. And I learned how to shift back into a calm, connected state. I also realized that the majority of my life I had been living in fight or flight, and I felt like this was normal. So this is really what made the biggest difference to me. And I wanted to explore today just about your nervous system and why your nervous system matters, how it shapes your behavior, and how learning how to regulate your nervous system can help you feel calmer, more connected, and more in control of your life. So let's start with just a quick overview of how the nervous system works and what piece specifically, when I refer to the nervous system, that I'm talking about, and that part of the nervous system that influences your emotions and specifically stress. So the nervous system is divided into two main parts. We have the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is what includes the brain and the spinal cord. And I like to think of the brain as kind of the captain of the nervous system. The peripheral nervous system connects the rest of our body to the central nervous system. And the peripheral nervous system can be divided into two different parts. The first part is the somatic nervous system. And this is what controls our voluntary movements, like walking, exercising, waving your hand, picking up a glass of water, anything that we're doing on purpose and using our conscious brain to do. The second part of the peripheral nervous system is our autonomic nervous system. And this controls automatic functions. So our breathing, our heart rate, our digestion, things that your body does without you having to think about them. Now, the autonomic nervous system is where things get really interesting and where most of us get stuck when it comes to stress and burnout. And that's what I'm going to focus on is the autonomic nervous system. And where the autonomic nervous system is divided into two branches. There is the sympathetic nervous system, and this is your fight or flight response. Lots of people have heard about this. This is your gas pedal. It gives you energy. It prepares you to act. It is what adds stress to your life so you can act. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest response. This is the break. It helps you calm down. It helps you conserve energy. So the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system are yin and yang. They are like a seesaw up and down. And it's a balancing act that your nervous system is doing between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So this might be a review to some of you. If you've been in healthcare or taken anatomy, you may have learned all of this information before. So this could be a review. What is interesting though is even with all the healthcare workers that I worked with and myself, we did learn about all that information in our training. But here is a great example of knowing about the information and knowing the anatomy and physiology is very different than knowing how to apply the information of your nervous system. I like to say, you know about your nervous system, yet you don't know how to manage your own. Let me explain just a little bit more. Our modern world is full of lots of stressors, right? People say, I'm stressed out all the time. Many of us are stuck with the gas pedal pressed down all the time with our sympathetic nervous system. Chronic stress also can keep us stuck in the sympathetic state. You could feel like you're white knuckling it through life. You're pushing through things. You're giving it your all and then some. When we are in this state, it can make us hard to unwind, relax, and just be. You can feel on edge. You can always be bracing for the next thing to go wrong or be on high alert of things that you will need to take care of. Now, when your body is in that state of high alert, the interesting thing is you are not thinking clearly and you're reacting from a place of survival. Your prefrontal cortex is not working 100%, and you're reacting from the emotional part of your brain. And this is why you might snap at your kids or get defensive with your spouse, even when you don't want to, like I did. The best news is that this is not because you're a bad person or you have bad habits or you're not trying hard enough. It's literally because your nervous system has hijacked your brain and taken over. This concept is explained through the polyvagal theory, and I love the polyvagal theory. It's been so fascinating and helpful to me. The polyvagal theory, just to let you know, was developed in the 1990s by Dr. Stephen Porges. And the polyvagal theory focuses on the vagus nerve. This is the 10th cranial nerve, which runs all the way from your brainstem down through your heart, lungs, digestive organs. It's responsible for regulating the fight or flight and the rest and digest responses. And it's also the key to social engagement. Your vagus nerve helps you feel safe. It helps you connect with other people. But if your nervous system senses a threat, and when I talk about threat, this is a real or perceived threat, it shifts you into protection mode. So when you feel safe, you're calm, you're connected, you're able to think clearly, you are what they call emotionally regulated. When you feel threatened or have too much stress in your body, you become emotionally dysregulated. And you either go into fight and flight, or you can shut down completely. And this happens faster than your logical brain can even catch up to. Your nervous system is always scanning for safety. And have you ever walked into a room and just knew that something was off? This is your nervous system picking up on subtle cues. Your nervous system is constantly broadcasting cues of connection or protection, and it's also scanning for safety, danger, protection. And this happens at internet speeds. It's super fast. It's 12 times per second. So 4 times per second, your brain is gathering information from the inside of your body. Your nervous system is communicating to the brain, your heart rate, your muscle tension, your breathing. And then 4 times per second, your nervous system is evaluating your environment that you're in. And it uses your 5 senses. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you tasting? What are you smelling or feeling that are giving you cues of connection or protection? Are you seeing facial expressions? Are you hearing a sarcastic or a loving tone of voice? What body language and nonverbal cues are you seeing that will tell you if you're safe or not safe? And then 4 times per second, your nervous system is evaluating relationally how others are responding to you, where you are in the environment, where your body is in space, and how safe you are in that area. I'm just thinking about when you go to the edge of a canyon and you look down, you feel really nervous. Lots of people are scared of heights, and just looking down and realizing that you are high in the air, your nervous system is giving you a cue of danger. Your heart rate speeds up, your breathing is fast and shallow. And just stepping back a few feet, you feel more safe, and those reactions go down. Now, this is the same reason why my kids can tell just by looking at my face with my hands on my hips that it's time to turn off the TV and go clean their room. I don't have to say anything. My nervous system is already sending them signals, and their nervous system is picking up on those signals. So let's talk for a minute about danger and what I am referring to when I say the word danger. Your brain has a hard time telling the difference between physical danger, emotional danger, and mental danger. And your body reacts the same way, whether you're running away from a tiger or when you're speaking publicly. It wants to move fast, talk fast, get out of there as quickly as possible. So someone defending their political stance feels like a threat to your opinion, and your nervous system responds with a fast beating heart, sweaty palms, a tight jaw, tight shoulders, and it puts your brain into a spiral for the rest of the day. Your nervous system is also really good at remembering things in the past that were scary, and it wants to bring them up often. And the reason it's bringing those thoughts and situations up is because it wants to protect you from the situation that is similar. Now, again, remember, this is all done unconsciously. So a to-do list that really is just words on a paper of things you need to do, but your brain can see it as a threat into your time, just like it did in middle school when you had to get your homework done before you could go and play with your friends. Your nervous system remembers and likes to bring it up. It likes to say, this is stressful that we have all of these things to do before we can relax. And it gives you that amount of stress to do it, but often it's too much. And this is why burnout can feel so draining. Your nervous system is literally trying to help you and protect you several times throughout the day, and it gets stuck in overdrive. It's also important to know that there are people who have a more vulnerable nervous system. And these people are caregivers or in the caregiving profession. So healthcare workers, teachers, police officers, EMTs, people who are taking care of children who have high needs or parents that have high needs. Also, people who are going through a chronic illness or, those top 10 life stressors, moving, divorces, cancer. In these high stress environments, your nervous system is most likely working in overtime to protect you. So now let's talk about the good news. And the good news is that you can retrain your nervous system. You can teach your body to feel safe again. You can shift from protection mode to connection mode. You can learn how to calm your body and think more clearly, and how to act more authentically and how you want to. Now, interestingly, this is not about eliminating stress because stress is needed and is helpful. So it's about learning to tell the difference between what stress can help you out and what stress is harmful and where that threshold is. And once you understand that, you can start responding instead of reacting. And this is when you purposely notice, when is my heart rate increasing? When are my muscles tense? When is my breathing becoming more shallow? And instead of letting your body take over, you can remind your nervous system, hey, there's no danger here. This is just someone's opinion. There's no danger here. I'm just looking down at the canyon 2,000 feet away. I just have an opinion here that is the opposite of my best friend's. And there's no danger in that. When you can really let your nervous system that you're okay, it doesn't need to react, and there's no danger, that is when you get the real power of controlling yourself. So I'm going to just sum up things, and I hope you can get just a little bit of an understanding of how understanding my nervous system has really changed my life. And since I have been able to remind my nervous system that it's safe, my relationships are so much better. I now, for the first time in my life, have been able to sleep through the night soundly. I'm not woken up anymore by my mind running. I show up more authentically. I'm kinder to myself when things don't go perfectly. I still have moments where my nervous system takes over, and that will always happen because I do have a human brain and a human body. But now I know how to calm it down, to give myself compassion and other people compassion. With this knowledge, I have been able to look at the past and experiences that didn't go well. And I can see people living and acting out of fight or flight or shut down. And I have compassion and forgiveness that the behaviors that they did were because their brain was getting hijacked. So I hope this resonated with you. I hope you can see yourself in maybe some of these situations. I hope this is just a little bit of an insight into your nervous system. And if you could share this podcast with someone who you think might benefit from it, I really am passionate about helping people understand how the brain and nervous system work together, how we can work differently instead of harder, and how you can work to train them to work for you instead of against you. I did also want to leave you with just thoughts to ponder. When you do something that you are not proud of, just know that you are not broken. You are not out of willpower. It is just your nervous system acting like it was designed to do, and it's working perfectly, and it's working hard to protect you. And remember, the good news is that you can retrain it. So thanks for listening and take care. Thanks for tuning in to Burnout Solutions. If you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And when you're ready to stop working harder and start working differently, head on over to my website at www.monatippets.com. That's TIPPETS. And grab my free resources on rewiring your brain and nervous system for less stress and more ease. Hope to connect with you soon. Take care.